Third Crusade. This is a 1 to 4 player hidden movement war game, where you take the role of an army in the Third Crusade, trying to amass 10 glory or the most glory over 4 rounds. Now let's take a look at the components. These components are prototype components. You have the map board. On the map board you have the round track, initiative track, glory track, alliance track, space for diplomacy cards, mission cards, a cleanup key. On the map you have regions that are connected by roads, and you have boats. The bidding board, these contain command points. The diplomacy board, these are made up of lines and resource spots. Mission cards, on the mission card you have the title, glory, glory requirement, faith, and faith requirement. Objective cards, on these cards you have the region, section, and the army score. Diplomacy cards, on these cards you have the name, reward, and order for diplomacy board movement. Gold, neutral units, bandit or sabotage tokens, port tokens, resource chits, faith track marker, mercantile city markers, glory track marker, round marker. In each of the 4 armies you have the player board. On the player board you have the army, cavalry, siege, and infantry sections, resource requirement, command point track, and crown track. Infantry units, cavalry units, siege engine units, leader tokens, orders. Orders are either basic or advanced. Event cards, these have the player color, the round year, and on the front of the card you have the title, picture, main event, and crown event. Crown marker, command marker, pawns, folding screen, player aid, and finally your rulebook. Now let's take a look at the setup. We're going to be setting this up for a 2-player game, which has 9 player steps and 14 general steps. Starting with the player steps. Step 1, get player components. Give each player a random army and get the corresponding player board, screen, event cards, army units, orders, leaders, pawns, point trackers, and place the player board in the center of your player area. Keep in mind that there must be a player from both alliances. Step 2, place event cards. Separate your event cards by round, shuffle them, and place them face down next to your player board. If there is an army not being used, you will remove those cards from your event cards. Step 3, get 4 gold. In a 3-player game, the lone player of an alliance will get 6 gold. Step 4, place army units on their corresponding spaces on the player board. Step 5, place leaders next to your player board. Step 6, place track markers on 0. You'll place the track markers on 0 for the crown and command point tracks for the base and current command. Step 7, place basic orders behind your player screen next to your player board. Step 8, place advanced orders next to your player board. Step 9, get 2 objective cards, keeping them secret. Keep in mind that in a 2 or 3 player game, you will not use the north cards. Now for the general steps. Step 1, place the map in the center of the player area. In a 2 or 3 player game, you will use the south only map. In a 4 player game, you'll use north and south. Step 2, place units on the map according to the player setup in the rulebook. They are taken from the player boards left to right. Step 3, shuffle and place mission cards face up on the future mission card space, and then you will move the top card to the active mission spot. Step 4, shuffle and place diplomacy cards face up on the diplomacy space. Step 5, place the glory track marker on 0. Step 6, place the round marker on 1190. Step 7, give each player an initiative marker. For a 3-player game, the lone player will get 2 initiative markers. Step 8, place initiatives. Place one of the alliance markers on spot 1 and its alliance partner on spot 3 for a 3 or 4 player game. And then you'll place the other alliance on 2 and 4. Step 9, for a 3 or 4 player game, place the faith and mercantile markers on 0. Step 10, set up ships. Place units based on armies in the game for 1191 spring and autumn ships. This is depicted in the rulebook. Step 11, calculate crowns and command points. On the map, for each region you control, move your crown marker up 1 for each crown symbol in that region, and command base and current command up 1 for each flag symbol. Step 12, set up the diplomacy board next to the map. You will place 1 diplomacy marker on the board and keep 1 in your player area for bidding. Place the neutral units and chits on the corresponding spaces on the diplomacy board, and the rest of the neutral chits and gold in pools next to the map. Step 13, place the bidding board next to the map. And Step 14, give each player a player aid. Now let's take a look at the gameplay. A game consists of at most 4 rounds. If an alliance gets 10 glory before the 4 rounds are over, then the game ends immediately. A round consists of 5 phases. The strategy phase, where you will choose event cards and get command points. The planning phase, where you place orders or pass. The command phase, where you execute orders or events. The diplomacy phase, where you will be bidding and moving the diplomacy track. And the upkeep phase. Now let's look at each phase in detail. Phase 1, the strategy phase. You will draw the top 4 event cards from your current round. Then you'll place them face down below the bidding board, one under each spot. Once all the players have placed their event cards, you will reveal simultaneously. In initiative order, you will select an event card from the opposing alliance, giving the card to the owner, and they will place the card next to their player board, and you will get the current command point from that space. This continues until all players have 2 cards. Keep in mind that only 2 cards can be selected from each row. In a 3-player game, the lone player gets 2, and the others will get 1, but they will double the command value. Once everyone has 2 cards, we'll move to Phase 2, the planning phase. In initiative order, you will place a basic order or pass. These must go on your side of the map. These are used during the command phase, and this will continue until all players pass. Keep in mind that you must meet the requirement and you can pay the cost before you place it. You can place them with no presence, but the order cannot be carried out until you have control of that region. Once all players place basic orders or pass, we move to Phase 3, the command phase. In initiative order, you will either execute an event card, execute an order, or pass. For the event card, you would execute the main event, and if you have enough crowns, then you can execute the crown event. Keep in mind that you can pay 2 gold for each crown needed to make up the difference. You can execute in any order and you don't lose your crowns. Actions can be none up to the depicted amount on the card. If units are added to a location with enemy units, a battle takes place immediately. When you execute an order, you would announce and turn it around. You must meet the requirements and pay the current command cost. You would carry out the order and place it above your player board. When units from both alliances are in the same location, a battle happens. Battles. For a battle, the active player is the attacker and the controlling player is the defender. If tied, then you would go in initiative order. You would move the attackers or keep them on the road, and then you would calculate the battle strength using the chart. Then the lower strength army can have reaction orders. You would go by control first or initiative order. Any reaction used are removed from the side of the board. Then the highest strength wins. Ties would go to the defender. The winner would lose 1 unit or leader, and the defeated loses units or leaders equal to the difference. The units would go to the player board and leaders out of the game. Neutral units count during this process. The defeated player would retreat to either the region it attacked from, or if defending an adjacent desert space where they control or no one controls. Then the winner gets 1 glory if they attacked a city, a leader was a part of the attack, defended, and if a losing leader was killed. Then you would adjust markers. Once all the players have passed, we move to Phase 4, Diplomacy Phase. Players will secretly choose a number of gold to bid for a bonus and their diplomacy order. Then the players would reveal and in order place a marker on the number and bonus they want. The lowest bidder gets no reward but pays the money. Then in bonus number order, you would move up the diplomacy board until you reach a token. The lowest bidder gets moved by an opposing alliance, and then they would gain the rewards. Once all players have gained their diplomacy awards and moved up the diplomacy board, we move to Phase 5, the upkeep phase. The upkeep phase takes 10 steps. Step 1, check and activate the mission card. You would gain glory equal to the difference on the mission card. Step 2, tithe. Reveal orders on the board with the tithe icon, execute and gain a gold. Step 3, orders. Reveal and remove orders from the board. Any command points move the glory marker down 1. Step 4, map. Each player compares supply icons. You count the supply icons from not fully stocked unit sections and compare them to the uncovered supply icons in the sections on the board that you control. When you take the supply icons on your player board and subtract the ones that you control on the map, that would equal the number of glory that you would go down. And then the icons must be stacked back up on your player board by removing units back to your player board. Then players can buy advanced orders at 2 supply per order. If Crusaders control Jerusalem, you would move glory up 2 spaces for them. You would gain a gold for each controlled uncovered coin, and you would move 1 glory for each uncovered icon in your controlled region. Step 5, victory check. Check if the glory is 10 or higher. Step 6, advance the round marker. Step 7, ships. Gain and place in port regions not under Muslim control. Step 8, set command to base command. Step 9, move the top mission card and discard the top diplomacy card. And then step 10, move the initiative 1 space down. Then rounds would continue until a glory marker is at 10 or above, or at the end of the 4th round. At the end of the 4th round, we would go to the final scoring. First, you would score objectives. In initiative order, choose and reveal 1 objective card and move the glory marker. The alliance with the most glory wins Third Crusade. If it is an army with 2 players, then you will check for the ultimate winner by whoever has the most in 2 of the 3 categories: faith, mercantile, and objective card. And the majority winner wins Third Crusade.